What's up, guys? We are back with another Mythic Legions review. It's been a while since I've actually gotten to say that. It's been a while since I've done a Legions review, or Legions anything lately. And we are taking a look at the first of the two PowerCon MOTU Tribute exclusives. So these are the early release figures that they do annually for PowerCon. Of course, PowerCon did not actually occur. It was a virtual event this year, and then the Horsemen put the exclusives up that they were going to have at the con online. So you're able to snatch them that way. And thankfully, I was able to snag a pair. So we are taking a look at our Hordak for this line. And this is very specifically, right now anyway, a very Filmation looking Hordak, and I'm very excited to take a look at this guy. So we've got Lord Draguul on deck. We've got him here in our standard Legions packaging. There's nothing really PowerCon specific about this since it is just a first release. You got the figure there in the window, Legions logo down there on the bottom, and then you've got a product shot as well as a bio for the character on the side, and then the back of the package has got cross-sell for some recent figures, some more of the recent style artwork that we've been seeing, and then a write-up for Mythos. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Lord Draguul figure, and yeah, this one is really doing it for me. There is really, honestly, there is about nothing to complain about when it comes to this figure. I don't know how you could be dissatisfied with this one, especially if you're into this line for the MOTU tribute stuff, because this is one I've really been looking forward to, just to see what they would do with him, just to see how they would do Hordak. We always knew that he would be a vampire of some kind, but this is a Filmation Hordak, and I couldn't be happier with the fact that they went that route instead of, say, like a vintage toy figure, because Filmation Hordak is what I always think of. So this guy is really cool. He is, of course, a 1.0 style Mythic Legions figure, so if you're familiar with that type of toy, type of figure, you're going to know what to expect as far as articulation goes. It really all comes down to the deco on this guy. So let's see what he can do real quick. See how he moves around. So the head is on the big ball peg. He can look up, he can look down, tilt really good side to side, full rotation. The arms do go out at the shoulders. Now, I've got him without the pauldrons and the soft goods. They don't really get in the way too much, though. It's no more or less than any other figure. So they go out at the shoulders. Where they really hinder them is when, of course, you want to swivel the arms forward and backward. They go all the way out. You've got your single rotating elbow. You've got your rotating forearms. You've got rotating and hinging wrists as well. We've got our ball peg at the waist, so he goes backwards, forwards, tilt side to side, and then full rotation. Still pretty good range of motion, despite the fact that it's a brick of a torso. The legs do go all the way out, so you can have him do the horde splits if you need to do that. They kick forward all the way. They do kick backward quite a bit. You do have a thigh cut up there. Mine are... they're a little loose, but not in the sense that it's caused stability problems. They just, maybe they move a little more freely than I expected, because I've had no issues with any stuck joints on this guy. He moves very well. You've got your single rotating knee, and then you've got rotation down at the ankle, and then you've got rocker, and then you've got those hinges as well. So again, a very, very standard Mythic Legions figure. That's not a negative. It's just he doesn't bring anything new to the table, but at the same time, no one was expecting that in the first place. So he still moves around quite well. Everything I've come to expect from Legions, no real surprises. Like I said, though, a lot of this guy really comes down to the deco, and then, of course, the MOTU tribute aspect. So it's kind of a double punch here, where you've got a really stellar combination of colors on this figure, but then if you truly care about the MOTU aspect of it, it's Hordak. It's Horde colors, it's Filmation Hordak blue. It's a lot of stuff that really does it for me on a number of levels, and like I said before, I don't have him kitted out all the way. We'll talk about the rest of the stuff you can throw on this guy when we get to accessories, because I do think this guy works pretty well without the pauldrons. I don't always say that when it comes to Legions. Some just truly need them for me. This guy, he's always going to have them, but at the same time, if you didn't want to have him on, I don't think you'd be in a bad place, because he still looks pretty good. He definitely looks very menacing, and he certainly looks a little bit more Filmation Hordak-y without the pauldrons, because, you know, Hordak doesn't really have anything like that. So this guy, just taking at face value, I think he looks pretty perfect. It all comes down to the color choices and how they kind of kitted him out. So you've got the very Horde colors when it comes to red and the black for the torso, so it kind of mimics the color choices when it comes to Hordak's his tunic and his chest. You've got the gray for the belt, which of course mimics that as well. And then instead of the the furry loincloth type of thing that you might see on Hordak, you have the kind of the greaves around him, which are also black, which match him. And then you've got the blue for the arms, the blue for the legs, and this It's so close to what the cartoon looks like. It very much screams Filmation Hordak. And then you've got more of that same when it comes to the gray. Well, it's kind of a metallic-y silver. And this paint, I will say, does kind of come off with the weapons. It really messed up one of mine already. It's not a huge thing because they are, of course, fully painted. But you've got the silver for the boots and the gauntlets. And then you've got more of that red and the gray and the black color scheme at the knees, just to kind of break it up a little bit more and really hammer home the idea of the Filmation colors. Not to mention the fact that he has the gorget piece around the neck, which very much mimics the bone collar that Hordak has in the show. So it's one of those little details that maybe you might not have thought about, but at the same time, they immediately knew what to do with our already existing piece to kind of tie in one of his key things, because, you know, that bone thing that sits around his head, the collar, is a huge characteristic for Hordak, and they managed to kind of fit that in here with the gorget. So it was just a really cool way for them to tie in that type of thing with a lot of existing parts here to make up a very convincing Hordak tribute. Now, the default head sculpt for this guy out of the box is maybe not necessarily cartoon or toy Hordak or anything, but there are some very Horde elements here. So, of course, we get an extra head sculpt, which very much plays into the Hordak aspect of this figure. But Draguul here has a really nicely painted knight's helmet, so it kind of gives him a Dark Knight theme, especially when it comes to the gauntlets and the boots that this figure has, not to mention when you see the pauldrons that he has as well. And then you've got a very, like, almost toy imp that sits on top of his head when it comes to the piece up here at the top. So it looks very impish as far as the Horde goes, but in more of like a vintage toy way, if that makes sense. So it's a really cool choice for, you know, maybe a helmet that Hordak would have done up in Horde colors with a little bit of that vintage toy kind of imp thing thrown in there for good measure. So it's definitely within the realm of possibility. I think they sell the idea here really well. This might be an instance, though, where I definitely don't use the helmeted head, which is generally my thing when it comes to Legions, because the extra head sculpt this guy comes with is very much what I've been waiting for. Now, as far as accessories goes, this is an area where this figure absolutely shines. Not necessarily because he has a lot of stuff, but because what he has is so perfectly tailored to the idea of this figure. So we're talking weaponry, the type of weaponry, the little accents to the weaponry, and then of course the extra head sculpt and the soft goods. So we've got him here kitted out as best I can right now. So we've got him with the two pauldrons on, and this guy I think looks fantastic just with everything on him. So pick your head, have the cape on him, have the pauldrons on him, and I think you've got a really imposing and menacing looking figure, because, you know, these are some of my favorite pauldrons in the line. They're big, hulking, very Dark Knight-esque, and they've got more of that black and gray color scheme, so very Hordak, very Horde colors. And then we've got the soft goods on him, and this thing, I mean, this is unique, right? I don't know that we've ever seen anything like this before, where it is very, very specifically tailored to this type of figure. So it's very much like I don't want to say a Batman kind of cape, but it looks like wings almost. So it's kind of flared out and such, so it's got these little edges cut on them. It's not, you know, like the style of cape that I think we're going to be seeing when it comes to the Seed Jesm capes we're going to be getting from the Horsemen down the road, with hopefully the Arethyr wave, I think, is when they're going to start. But it's a really cool looking cut, and the holes are in the right spot on this one. The other figure in this little 2-pack has the weird hole situation going on, which I'll talk about with that figure. But I really dig the idea of the shape of this. It just sort of is a little bit of enough fabric on the back of the figure that it adds a little bit of depth and flair, but it's not something that's obtrusive or really gets in the way. So it's of course a very unique look. Then we've got the extra head sculpt. So this is of course a vampire head, and this is what the Carpathius head sculpt, and you've got him with all of the telltale accents of a Filmation Hordak look. So you've got the blue stripe that's on the head, you've got the very stark white colors, and then the red and the black accent. So it's very, very Horde-esque, and of course this very much plays up the idea of a Filmation Hordak type of look on account of the fact that, well, he's blue. So we've got a really cool looking head sculpt, and then the pauldrons and the cape and all that good stuff. But of course he does come with some weaponry. He doesn't come with tons. It's not like an overwhelming amount of weaponry, but what he does come with is pretty solid. So we've got a crossbow here to start with, and this of course is very Horde. So the Horde crossbow is their weapon of choice. So you've got just a standard crossbow here with the silver, and you've got a little bit of tension on the wire there. So we've got that. You know, we've seen crossbows a lot in this line. It's nothing really new. We've got the strap This guy did not come with back adapters, which is usually the case when it comes to PowerCon exclusives, and I'm certainly not complaining because I have way too many. We've got this bad boy right here as far as a shield goes, done up in more of that black and gray and red color scheme for the Horde colors. We've seen this a lot, you know, with elves and vampires type stuff. So this is just another instance of this shield, but done up in this very specific colorway, which frankly looks pretty amazing. And then my favorite accessory in the entire bunch, all things considered, is this, the axe. So this plays up the aspect of Imp from the Filmation cartoon series, so where he could transform into other weaponry and stuff like that. You've got him as the axe. And we've seen this thing before with other figures where this thing actually comes off, and this seems to be glued onto this one, where it's like an extra piece that you can sit down over top of this, but you've got the blue and yellow skull to signify that this is actually supposed to be like Imp from the cartoon that's been transformed into his axe. So I absolutely love that idea. I think it's an incredible use of existing parts, because this isn't new. We've seen this before. So this is just the coolest thing. I think they really went outside the box to make this thing a reality when it comes to showcasing very much a Filmation Hordak thing. So I absolutely love this. I mean, this is a really awesome shield, and all the stuff that you can kit him out with is fantastic, but just the creativity on this is really fantastic and absolutely wins me over for accessory of the figure here. So at the end of the day, this is an absolute winner. This guy is likely going to shake up some of my top 10 for this year because I am so much in love with this guy. Maybe it's the fact that I haven't really done a lot of Mythic Legion stuff in quite a while. There just hasn't been any time to get back into older figures, and there hasn't been anything new in a little bit. So this guy is something that's really drawing me back in, and it is the perfect adaptation of Filmation Hordak into Mythic Legion's form, with a few vintage kind of callbacks here and there as well. I think the Horsemen did an absolutely fantastic job on this particular figure, using existing parts to kind of throw things in here and there, like the gorget for the bone collar, you know, the kind of Imp look and feel when it comes to the piece on the top of the helmet, not to mention all of the accessories. The Imp axe is still the coolest thing in this package. I think they absolutely nailed the idea behind that perfectly. And of course, they know what they're doing when it comes to MOTU, so I'm really happy that they were able to really go wild on this figure and give us an incredibly well done Hordak tribute, because this is one, again, that I have really been looking forward to seeing what they were going to do, and they just crushed all my expectations. They really nailed this one. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legion's PowerCon exclusive Lord Draguul. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.